And there was this lovely set of twins. And this girl who's lambed over in this corner. And they're up, they're healthy, they've got big full tummies. The afterbirth is over here, so she's got that out. So that's often what you check, that you know they've got the cleansing out. It all looks healthy. So often the birds actually take that. It'll disappear at some point. So she's had these two. They're lovely, aren't we? Nice big strong lammies. Sometimes you get a problem with interned eyelids. So this one has a little bit of an interned eyelid at the bottom, and that one has one too. So what I actually do, even though it's not particularly nice, is I use a little tiny, I don't know if you can see that, a really tiny little needle and a bit of penicillin, and I just pop that in under the eyelid to kind of push it out. So you can see Mum's bag there is quite big at one side. I have checked it and there's plenty of milk in there. She's got no mastitis. Just sometimes they do get quite large at one side in particular. So that's why I always check them once they've lambed, that they have actually got milk in there and the lambs have got plenty to drink. But as you can see, they're lovely and full. So we're just going to sort out your eyes, aren't we, babe? So yeah, you can see how, if you look at their tummies, you just put your hand under, around the side, and you can feel there's loads of milk in there. Good babies. Because that's the most important thing, is that they get that colostrum within the first 6 hours. Because if they don't, they haven't really got much chance of survival. So I will just get on and get their eyelids done. Then I'll mark Mum, and we will move her next door to the nursery field. Away from you lot. Because I think I have another one up here against the wall who I think is going to lamb soon, because when I came through, after having to get them all in, she was down against this wall. And that's where it's better if I get her moved out of the way, because sometimes it can happen where they can steal lambs, especially if they're wanting to lamb, and they're very hormonal. So we shall see what the rest of the day brings. So here's our latest. We've got a lovely set of twins, both girls. Very cute. And there's her sister and her mum. So she's number 4. So we brought her across just this morning. So I'll get these lammies, get their tails done. It's always best to get them done within sort of 24 hours. I don't like to do them last thing at night. I'd rather do them through the day. I can just keep an eye on them. Ooh, they're very cute. So Florence here was one of my pet lambs. She is the same age as Jim. So she is 8 years old this year. So she always has such wonderful lambs. So these two will be staying in the flock because they're two lovely gimmers. Here is Panda and her boy. He's getting big. You can just see how much they grow in such a short space of time. So the singles are letters and the twins are numbers. And the purple is for one tup and the black is for another. So we've got Mrs. Herdwick here with her number 1s. Getting very big. You get very cheeky, don't you? Let's try and get some clips of you all playing. Because now that they've got a few more playmates in their field, once they get a little bit bigger. There you go, sweetheart. What are you doing? Where's Mummy gone? She's very good, Mum. You always have been, haven't you, sweetheart? You're a very good girl. So everyone so far, we just got on with the job very well, haven't we all? I haven't seen any of you being born. You've just come down the field and you've been there. It's been very good. So I brought another one across just before. So we have, how many have we got in here now? 7. We've got 7 in here. So we've got 4 sets of twins and 3 singles so far. In like, yeah, a couple of days we've had quite a few. So I'd imagine over the next few days we'll have a few more, because we had quite a influx. We usually do have quite a quick start and then they sort of whittle off a little bit, but everyone's very chilled out in here. It's such a lovely field for them, a little nursery field. So see the girls next door, their lambing field. Now just pop them through the gateway here, and they can have a nice peaceful time in their little nursery field for a few days. And then I'll probably get a few moves later this week. So we'll get the singles taken down the road and the twins will go down to Staveley. All just peacefully having a little mid-morning snooze. The dogs are sat patiently over there, so I don't like them to stress out the sheep, especially if we're feeding them and getting the tails done. It's nice for them to just learn to just settle and lie in the field quietly. You come in to see what we've got. Yes, because you think you're getting fed. You do. So in here, we have everything we need. So I have my shepherd's crook, which is great, which my nan kindly got me a new one last year because my other one broke. Very, very useful, because when you're catching lambs, you're not being very helpful. You can pop it around the neck. Are you going to demonstrate like that? He says, no thank you. You just hook it round like that. Especially with lambs because they have smaller necks. But it's a very effective way of catching them, isn't it, when we need to? Because sometimes you need to catch lambs if they have a sore foot, or if we need to do anything with them. It's just a great tool to have. And it's always good for if you're walking around, you've got an extra stick, so that's a very important tool. Then we have in here a marker sprays for the lambs, for their numbers and their letters. All of the sheep have a stock mark, which is this purple mark here. The pink mark is for the number of lambs, so she is a twin, so she's pink. She's got green because she's a triplet. And then the colour sticks on their bums. This year they have a bit of a mixture, which has kind of irritated me a little bit because I like them all to be the same. But because we had two different tups, so she went to Winnie, who is like a light green, and her as well. And then Alan, the other one, it was a blue. Then any that got redone are red. So there were a few that got redone, so they'll be a little bit later on. So there's a bit of a mixture, but that's why some people look at sheep and think, why are they all multicoloured? But it is just purely stock mark, so then everyone knows whose sheep they are. I mean, they all have these ear tags in as well, which are electronic ear tags. But it's just great that each farm has their own stock mark, so everybody can see from a distance that that is whoever's sheep, if they escape. So anyway, we are getting distracted. So we have our U-drink, which is always a great thing to have on hand. If there's any that are a little bit sick or a bit under the weather, you can just give them a little bit of this, just to help them. I also have a lamb tonic, which is just the same again, if there's any that have a bit of a bad tummy. I also have some activated charcoal, which isn't in here, but that's also for lambs if they have a bit of a upset tummy, sometimes get a little bit of a diarrhea. I have this really handy pot, which is for milking any, because although we have powdered colostrum, which is great for any lambs where the mums don't have enough milk for them, or any that are having three, such as her, because they only have 2 teats, and you do always worry with triplets. You want them to make sure they all have enough colostrum. So what I do is, any singles at lamb that have a lot of milk, and you know they've only had 1 lamb and the lamb has had enough, I will milk off the excess, pop it in this pot, and then I will freeze it. So then if there are any, for any reason that I believe haven't had enough colostrum, I will try and give them some proper mother's milk, and I'll top them up with the powdered alternative as well. That's always a vital part of the lamb's development. But again, we are getting distracted. So we have our tailing things for doing their tails. You do that for welfare reasons, because fly strike can be quite horrific, and what it does is it trims the tails. So I'll show you. So there. So some breeds like the Herdwicks do have longer tails, but then a lot of the others you do dock them. Generally if that's done in under sort of 2 days old, it generally doesn't bother them too much. And then obviously for the boys that aren't being kept as breeding tubs, they also get castrated at the same time. But again, it's far better for them to be done within 24-48 hours. Because yes, it's not particularly nice for them, but it soon passes and that's that job done. Because at the end of the day, we couldn't have loads of tubs running around doing their business with everybody, could we? So put my little milking thing there. I have my antibacterial wipes, hand sanitizer, and in here I've got penicillin for anyone that I suspect has any sort of infection, or any that need any assistance with lambing. You'd just rather cover them with that. We also have antibiotic foot spray and Metacam, which is an anti-inflammatory for any that, you know, again, if they've had a struggle with lambing, I would far rather know that they've got some painkillers on board as well. And then we also have iodine, which is in this tub here. So I dip any of the navels for any lambs that are wet. Although when they're outside it's not absolutely essential when it's dry like this, because they're not generally in muddy, wet conditions. But I just think it dries the navels up quicker, and you know that, you know, there's hopefully not going to be any bacteria getting into the navel, because that can cause something called joint ill, which is pretty horrific, and it's basically just an infection that goes up their navel and into their gut. And it can be quite bad, but that's obviously something that's way more important if you are lambing indoors. I have my long gloves and my little latex gloves as well, and a bottle of disinfectant just to spray anything down if, you know, we've got anything on there. So yeah, I've got all sorts of different bits and bobs, and obviously the needles and syringes for the antibiotics and such things. So yeah, that's about it really. That's what I travel round with. And then if there's any that need any assistance, we sometimes use a snare which you can get around the lamb's head to help it out, or lambing ropes sometimes if that's needed. And I have a few other things back at the barn if needs be, such as like udder cream, things like that, just for any other potential problems. So I'm going to show you one who has a bit of an issue. And this is where each year, as much as we try to limit problems, I always seem to come across something each year that is a little bit unusual. Although we have, you know, a relatively small number of sheep compared to a lot of farms, you always get something each year. I've only ever had one that has had this before, in, well, the 12 years that I've had sheep, and I don't think I'd seen it before. So it is something unusual. And actually last year we had our first ever cesarean, which again we'd never had before, but the problem with her was that she had ringworm and there was no way of helping her get them out naturally. So you'll see over here, they're all happily munching away. Then we have this girl to the right. You might be able to see just even from this distance, she's rather lopsided. So she is having 3, but I could tell about 3 days ago that I thought this was going to happen. So again, like I said, I've only ever had one that has done it. They call it a abdominal rupture or a pre-pubic rupture. So it can be caused by the weight of the lambs. So they're obviously sitting very heavy on that side of her, and it can cause a rupture in the abdominal wall. So she's not suffering at all. Basically for her right now, it is just that she's feeling a little bit lopsided, and it will be a little bit harder for her to walk around than the others. It is something that isn't treatable. It is, you know, they can lamb naturally, but as you may have guessed, because she's had that rupture down to the side, when they're coming out they have to sort of come quite a long way up and round. Oh, she's just stood in the way of her. So it could be that she may need some assistance, and because she's having 3 anyway, but she's actually in pretty good health. She seems bright and happy, she's eating well, and because in here they have their grass obviously, then they have their water and their hay within a pretty short distance, so she spends most of her time around here. But I do see her actually, you know, moving around. She goes up onto the hill and back again. But that's where with sheep like this that are either lame or they have something like this that can limit their mobility, I just keep a close eye on her. But you can see how she is managing to walk around pretty well. So I am just hoping that she will lamb soon, and then once she gets that weight out of her tummy, she will be a lot more mobile. But this is where each year you do just find some very unusual things, and it is just keeping an eye on them. You know, it's not stressing her out. If she's looking a little bit low on energy, I'll just give her some of the drink or a bit of a top up of something to give that bit of energy. But yeah, you can see that she's walking around fine, and that's where animals, they just, you know, they just deal with things pretty well. So yeah, that's our one unusual thing for this year so far. So our herdwick has had her second lamb. Typically I was just round the corner, but this is what they do. They're generally quite sneaky, aren't you? You can hear the cuckoo in the background actually. So you can see how quickly to get them cleaned up well. That little lammy will only be a few minutes old. It's already trying to stand up. Just shows how amazing they are. Are you going to go over and have a look? There's a sheep here coming to have a see. No, it's not yours. So they sometimes come out in this sort of yellowy colour, sometimes they're quite clear. You get them all nicely cleaned up from the birthing fluids, and that's the best way to get them warmed up as well, because that's often, if the weather is chilly and they don't lick them dry, that's when they can get cold. But that's where a lot of them have this amazing maternal instinct. And you're all coming over to assist, are we? We don't need your assistance. You've already been fed. We're just having a little look. Yes. I think we have another one down the field. Who's going to lamb. She's sort of nesting around that bottom area. She's one that's having 3, so I'll keep a close eye on them whilst I go around and check on all the other sheep and lambs as well. But that's where you can sometimes spot where they're going to lamb and keep a little eye on them, just to make sure everything's progressing nicely. So I will show you where she is, down the bottom. So she's been nesting around there most of the morning, so I suspect she's going to lamb down there. That's quite a popular corner for them. It's quite interesting over the years, you get to know where they like to lamb. Excuse me. Are you having a good itch there, missus? The dogs are watching on. So we will get round the rest of the sheep and lambs, check everyone's okay in the nursery field, keep an eye on this girl. They're all having a little sniff to see what it is. But luckily none of these are imminent, so that's where sometimes, especially if they're inside, you can have problems with them stealing lambs. But you can tell she's a very attentive mum. So I'll leave her be. You can see little Lammy's trying to get up already. I'll leave her be and I'll come over in a little while. There you go. Oh, nearly. Check that they've got full tummies and that her bag's okay, and then I'll get her moved over to the nursery field in a little while. Because often I'll move them over there and put them by the water hole, because if they've lambed up in this corner, it's quite difficult for them to get both of the lambs gathered up and taken over to the water. So that's what I'll often do. You can see this little one already getting up. There we go. So they have such a great natural instinct to go straight to the teats. And that's where, again, it's so important to check that they've got plenty of milk in there for them, because that colostrum is so important. What do you want? You want more food? I think you can hear the cuckoo. It's very loud. It must be quite nearby. I can often hear the cuckoo as I'm going around the lambing field. Giving him a good lick. You're a good girl. Right, I'll leave her to it and I will get on with some of my other jobs, and I'll keep a close eye on her and the other one who looks like she's going to lamb soon. So you can see his little herdwick eating the afterbirth. It's full of great nutrients, gives them that bit of energy. It looks pretty disgusting, but it does them the world of good. Some of them eat it, some of them don't. And they just know what's good for them. So both the lambs are up, have been stuck in, and she's got them walked down behind this wall. So I'll leave them till a little bit late this afternoon. I'll get her moved across to the nursery field. She's done a very good job. And that's where the majority of them do, just crack on, get the job done, and they'll look after the lambs very well. So she's gone off and having a bit more grass. A good lass. Move you out of there, and you're not in all that group. There we go, Susan. Do that off your face. There you go. There we go. You have a good shake. Good sneeze. There. And leave your mum to it. Just had her third one. Just turned round. They just plopped out, didn't we? And that's where triplets, because they sometimes are a bit smaller, they come out very easily, don't they? So I was just getting heard it through the gate. I had the camera set up, but it didn't quite, it actually fell over, so we didn't get to see that one. But you just fired out, didn't you? So she actually lammed them all stood up. So she's just busy licking the birthing fluid. Got first one here. Going for a little drink. Just finding the teat under there. So she's given this one here a little lick. And you can see already have the little sucking reflex. That way. What we'll do. She's just giving that one a little lick. Good girl. You got a lot of work here, sweetheart. A lot of work. Yeah. You've done very well. So she'll get them both cleaned up. You've done a very good job of your first one, haven't you? What a good girl. So, just check her teats. But I'm going to give them a top up anyway, just because there's 3 of them. Just check, have a look. Oh, lovely. Loads in there. There we go. Lovely. Got loads of milk in there. Oh dear, you need a little bit of a hand. We'll just get that off your nose. You're having a good sneeze though, aren't you? You're having a good sneeze. Yeah? Good baby. There we go. What a good lammy. Yeah? So you can see how quick they start moving around trying to get up. Even within about 2 or 3 minutes. You're a lively little thing, aren't you? You are a little sweetie pie. Let's have a look. Oh, a little girl. So let's give her. Look at you, big one. Oh, big boy. You want to go over there with mum? Just pop you over there with mum, and she can lick you both. So she'll take her time cleaning them up. What have we got here? Another little boy. Got 2 boys and a girl. So like I say, they can't generally rear 3. But what I'll do is, if I have a few triplets lamb at once, I'll often just take one off each. But again, I don't like to have pet lambs on their own. So it'll be a case of I'll leave them with her, but I will just top them up until we perhaps need another lamb for another sheep, or we have another one to become a pet. But that's where you have pet lambs that are there for when you know, if you need them, if any sheep lose theirs, and if we need to do any adoptions. But otherwise we will hand rear them. So I'm just going to leave her to it, get them up and about, get them a first drink, and then I will top them up with some colostrum.